Hello, dear friends, and welcome to the Heallist Podcast. Today, we're talking about your posture and what it reveals about your health. If this episode resonates, please hit subscribe, follow, or rate wherever you're listening. It's a small and simple way to support this free and independent content. And today, I'm really excited to speak to Raya Friesen, an integrative practitioner with 20 years of experience blending physiotherapy, posture, and alignment work, breath work, energy medicine, and holistic practices to help clients heal at the root cause, not just managing symptoms. Through her Lumina Method, her signature modality, she guides clients to identify structural, emotional, and energetic drivers behind pain, tension, scoliosis, burnout, dysregulation, and chronic imbalance. A lot of big issues that people are dealing with, and I'm so excited to dive into your modality, into your work, especially somebody who's suffered from improper posture,
Mm.
scoliosis most of my life, and it never occurred to me to connect some of it to the larger health patterns. So this is
Mm.
going to be one of those episodes that I call a selfish episode, where I'm actually really curious to learn from you as well. So welcome to the podcast. So
Mm.
good.
Thank you so much, Yuli. I'm so grateful to be here and to share on this topic. It's one I'm very passionate about.
Absolutely. So I would love to dive right in and kind of give our listeners maybe a reason to listen.
Yeah,
Why posture? Why this is such an integral part of our health? Why did you choose to focus your practice on that?
beautiful. Well, I would say to start with that your body remembers everything. And when I first heard that, I thought that could be looked at as a very overwhelming thing. Yet, through the lens of curiosity, I realized that as we start learning about our posture, so how we stand, how we move in the world, that it tells a story. And that when we're able to read the story, understand to interpret the posture, that we can learn more about the body and what may be going on beneath the surface as well. And so I began my career as a conventional physiotherapist and worked in the area of something called Schroth for about 7 years. And during that time, and this modality specifically is for those who are navigating scoliosis and other spine conditions. And during that time, I realized that I could put people in different positions for the exercises, and they would do spinal traction and they would breathe. And then all of a sudden, they'd have an emotional release. They'd cry. And at that time, I didn't know how to hold that. I wasn't taught how to hold space for emotions as a physio, but also I was learning that within my own life at the time. And I realized to really treat the whole person, mind, body, spirit, mind, body, emotions, that I had to go deeper than just what I was seeing in the posture. And so the posture, the spine specifically, was my gateway into, oh, maybe there's something more. When someone's feeling something in the body, when we see a certain condition arise, like scoliosis or some sort of postural imbalance, that there might be a root deeper than simply what you're born with, a genetic component or an injury from your past. So that kind of got me curious. And then when I started asking questions, I ended up finding breath work. And breath work was my way into learning, like, oh, wow, the breath tells a story. Emotions are a part of this bigger picture. And that launched me into where I am now, almost 6 years later, with the Lumina Method and my current practice here in North Vancouver.
Yeah, it's incredible and makes so much sense, and I can totally relate to. But give us an example. So somebody with scoliosis, what
Yeah.
kind of issues you uncovering under the hood when you're dealing with something like that?
Yes. So energetically, there's a few things. So the spine, right? Our spine represents our stability. And I believe that most of our imprints, the wounding that we experience, happen from when we're in the womb to about 15 years old. So, how we felt growing up as a child, as a teenager, even as a baby, did we feel stable, supported by a maternal figure, by a paternal figure? And that will directly impact how straight, how stable our spine is. And also, it relates to safety. So, depending on where the curve is. So specifically, you asked about scoliosis. We can see one curve in the body, we can see two curves in the body, and we can see three curves in the body. And so, depending on where they are, it also tells a different story because each region of the back, each region of the spine is also connected to our energetic centers, our chakras, if you will. And then, layered on top of that, we have all of our organs and the meridians, which are all associated with different emotions.
So interesting, fascinating. I could definitely understand some of those potential root causes, like you mentioned, the childhood. For example, for me, somebody as a child who grew up in a constant state of fear for my life, and I kind of developed this posture of, curving my back, trying to hide. So I
Mm,
kind of knew that as I got deeper into my personal journey, wellness, spirituality, where those came from. But I think understanding is kind of one piece of it. And I think I have a good grasp on that. But then how do you connect that to actual healing?
beautiful. I felt that in you when you shared that. It's like when you start on your path of self discovery, right? Your growth path, and you start learning about your different imprints, your wounds that we experience, we can clear them energetically. I fully believe that. And since the body remembers, and perhaps if it's been stored in your body over decades, there'll be a change to your physical structure, right? So your posture, for example. Well, you can clear the energetic root and you may see some improvements, yet with that emotion, that energy, that wounding stored, that lack of safety stored in the body for quite some time, it creates stagnancy in the body. And stagnancy can lead to physical changes. So, decreased range of motion, so how much your body moves, how you hold yourself, your strength, that type of thing. So, for this work, what I love about it is once you get to the root and you start creating safety in the nervous system, clearing the emotional component to anything we experienced, then we can't forget about the physical body to actually restore the strength, the range of motion, how you hold yourself, feeling safe to stand up tall, be rooted, grounded in the body. So there's all those pieces that connect. Not sure that answered your question, but that's where I went.
No, no, this is all makes sense. And I didn't expect for a full treatment plan. Of course. But I'm just always curious, there's sometimes this understanding of once you kind of find the root of the
Mm,
issue, it kind of goes away, but it
mhm.
doesn't, and especially in cases like this, right, that are now like deep rooted in the structure of our body. This is kind of where the word begin.
Yes.
And
And understanding that, that's the key, right? So realizing, oh, okay. And it doesn't have to be hard. And it might not take a long time. It's going to take the length of time it's going to take. But understanding what I call the pathomechanism of scoliosis. So understanding it's a rotational condition, that the bones change shape, that the muscles change shape, everything changes. Then you can learn with that wisdom, okay, where do I need to breathe? What muscles need to activate so that I can derotate, I can correct the postural imbalances ultimately that were rooted in the emotion, in the emotional cause, in the emotional
interesting.
body.
So, is your work besides the emotional release and the breath work, is it also a sets of actual exercises that people then have to do?
Yeah, great question. It is. So the work itself begins with me hearing just like you were sharing what you experienced. And then I go into a very detailed postural assessment of the physical body, the posture itself, through various measurements to understand the directionality of scoliosis or specifically what we're seeing in the posture mechanically. And then I go a layer deeper and I energetically tune in to where I feel and where I see the energy is dense and stagnant in the body. And that will guide my table work. So you're correct. I might pull from breath work. I use various frequency tools like tuning forks. I use cupping. I use hands on work, energy clearing. And then from there, I integrate in what I call the activation. So learning very specific exercises based on the story the body's saying and, what you're feeling or what the client is feeling. And we build out an embodiment program. And part of this
Mm,
work for me is that each person that experiences the Lumina Method feels empowered. So it's not about coming to me weekly for maintenance. It's about, oh, we've built out this program. You have the tools so that when you're feeling a bit more hunched forward, or you're feeling a bit sore in your body, or you're feeling a bit weighed down, pick something from that menu, that tool that you can then do to feel more connected to the body as you deepen the language it's speaking to you and understanding how it's communicating with you.
Incredible. So tell me some of the maybe stories that you've
Mhm.
seen on that table, some of the transformations and maybe some things that are unexpected, right? That people come with you with one thing and then you uncover the other.
Yeah. Oh, it's you know what? This work is full of miracles and I'm blessed every day for that. But what's coming to me as you ask me that is oftentimes the conventional medical system will say to a person who's done growing. And in the case, I work with a lot of older people and they'll say, well, there's nothing you can do. And if you believe that, that may become your truth. Yet if you are open to the thought that things can change, then they can. And one of my lovely clients, I met her last spring. She came to me, and the common story I hear from clients is I've tried everything, nothing
Mm,
works. Or I got this far and I plateaued. And I received this referral for this person from my physio, the physio we share. And when she came in, she was having very extreme lower back discomfort on the left side, right into her SI joint. And she was getting nerve related symptoms that traveled down into her hip past her knee. And she tried everything for about 6 months, and she was getting to that point. She was 69 at the time, so she's 70 present day. And she was getting to the point where she said to me, "If this continues, I'm not sure I want to." And this woman is very active. She does tracking with her dog, snowboarding still, she landscapes, keeps 2 houses. So not being able to do the things she loved really decreased the quality of her life. And so I started just with that. I taught her about, how this works. It's not a one and done necessarily, yet when we can accept our current reality, then we set the stage, the foundation for change. So through the process of education, understanding what was going on in her body, she has 2 curves in her back. One goes to the right in her thoracic spine and one goes to the left in her lumbar, so her pelvis goes off to the right. So it's this S shape. And so when she understood how her body existed in space, and when we dove deeper into her childhood and some of the lack of stability she felt in her maternal line and being an only child and et cetera, her story, then within 2 sessions, actually, she got off the table in our first session. She said, wow, I feel different. And within 3 months, she came back in and said, Rhea, I was just reflecting on how this work is like a miracle. I can do everything that I want to do now. So her pain fully resolved itself. And even though that's not necessarily something that I can guarantee, I have no guarantees in this work. But what I can say is that if you believe you can make change and you sit and you learn the language of your body and you're consistent with your practices, that's what I see leads to change most often. And for her, it's not about holding this pain free place all the time because we're human. Things are going to come up. We're going to get triggered. In her case, in August, she had a big fall. She got hooked on her dog leash, landed right on her curve. She got into a flare up. Yet she knew that she could make change because she'd already proven it to herself. So we went back in, did more work, fine tuned her program, back to that pain free baseline, doing what she loves. And that's a big part of me, for me in this work, and what lights me up and what I'm passionate about is showing people the potential of how amazing life can be. How your
mm,
body is here to be this guide for you, that when you learn the language of your body and you let your heart lead versus your mind, oh, I should do this, I should do that, I should exercise like that, this person, that person, but it's like, what do I need today? What would feel nourishing to me? It's amazing how you can really decrease your risk of injury and you can really increase your capacity for joy, for ease in your body, and that directly gets reflected in your outer world because I believe the inner world is a direct reflection of or the outer world is a direct reflection of what's going on in the inner world. So it's all connected. And for her, one of her big lessons was I remember her in tears one session saying, "If I don't learn to relax and take care of myself at 70 and don't go a mile a minute, When will I? And so the body got so loud for her in order for her to actually slow down. And that was her lesson. And I think it continues to be, 'cause she likes to move and do things, which is amazing. Yet there's this balance. Right. So yeah, that's one example that's near and dear to my heart. So at 70, still doing everything she loves, and just really this belief that, you know, age is simply a number, which is wonderful and inspiring.
I love that message. Thank you for sharing.
Pleasure.
Any other stories that you have that people kind of came and maybe weren't as open to this work
Mm.
or thoughts that, it might be something different than what it turned to be or kind of like had more resistance and disbelief?
Yes.
I'm sure they were because what you do is pretty as cutting edge as it gets in terms of combining methods and alternative, which is what I love. This is like my favorite conversations, right?
Yes, me too. That's why we're here today. Yes. So I think when people come in to work with me, I do meet each person that's new to my work beforehand, just so it's clear, like what they're walking into, in a sense, clear as it can be without experiencing it. And I think a lot of people are quite surprised and maybe even a little skeptical at first of how impactful emotions are in how we physically feel. So when I actually go through and I have this really lovely diagram of all of the traditional Chinese medicine energy meridians, right? And all the organs that they're connected to, and that beautiful system that works on a 24-hour rhythm. And this diagram goes in deeper and shows how each paired of organs has a certain set of emotions that it's connected to. So that when we feel safe in our body, when we feel regulated, when we have capacity and a feeling gets triggered within our awareness, we can feel it,
Mhm.
we clear it, and nothing doesn't get as disrupted in the nervous system in the body. Yet when a feeling comes up, when we get triggered and we don't have the resources or we don't feel safe, or maybe we're out socially and it's not appropriate to feel that anger that came up, it gets pushed down. And so over time, energy likes to be in motion, right? Emotion is simply energy in motion. And when it gets pushed down, it can create stagnancy. And stagnancy left unchecked for a long time can create that inflammation, that dis-ease in the body, and we can start to see physical changes. So when someone comes in and they have something that they've labeled as chronic pain or a chronic condition, they're like, well, I don't know, I'm kind of giving up, I don't know. And I ask them, based on where the pain is presenting in the body, understanding the energetics of each body area, ask them, okay, so did you feel supported growing up?
Mhm.
They're kind of like, huh? I'm here for my spine. Like, I'm here, help me with the pain. So I think that's the biggest surprise, because when people are open to this work, it works. When they trust it, when they learn the language of their body and they learn that feeling their feelings leads to that freedom that they're seeking physically, then, you know, it doesn't take much more to convince them they're already there. I trust that when someone ends up next to me or across from me in that first session, that they're open, or they wouldn't have found this work.
That's true. How did you decide at what moment that
Mm.
there was nothing out there that could solve this and you had to create your own method?
Such a beautiful question. I think it happened over time. It wasn't one moment that I was like, "Oh, there's nothing that exists. I'm going to create it." Yet there was that pivotal moment that I alluded to earlier, where I had a woman in a specific Schroff posture on her hands and knees, and she was doing the breathing exercise and the lengthening, and she started to cry. And she asked me, "Are you okay if we stay in this position a little longer? This is the most peace I've felt in a really long time." And I thought, okay, great. We'll stay here. Again, not feeling comfortable with emotions at that time. And I remember going home and talking to a friend of mine saying, I feel like there's something missing in my current practice. And little did I know there was something missing in my life at that time, because every modality that I've integrated in to ultimately create the Lumina method is something that's helped me on my path. And so that moment for me was really pivotal. And then the next 4 years, I really got into studying breath work and working with a TCM doctor myself and my shaman, and just building out all these tools and learnings, and of course, self study to eventually create what is now known as the Lumina Method. And it's very, I'm very proud of it. I'm really excited about it and what it's offering people, communities.
And you work with other practitioners now to share this method with them as well. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. So I have created the Lumina Method certification program where I take other practitioners who are curious to expand into the integrative space of health and wellness. Specifically, I do teach them the Lumina Method, the modality. And I also, in this program, have created a lot of business fundamentals. So I believe that, when we're trying to offer our service to the world, it's nice to have that stable foundation where we can ground it into reality. So, bringing on my financial planner to teach, okay, everything about business they may need to know and finances, and then also teaching, how do you set up and hold a space? How do you honor your own energetic boundaries? How do you clear your field so that you don't take on everything that your clients are navigating? And this program, yes, you learn the Lumina method, yet part of it is that each practitioner feels held as they really honor their unique gifts. So it's about integrating the Lumina method into what they're already offering. So, like some of my students teach body talk or womb workers, and how these modalities fit together. And just,
Hmm.
yeah, like you're doing with the Heal List, like building out this beautiful community of like-minded practitioners who can
Yes.
support each other, become this little family of like, how are we called to serve at this time? So
Yes.
it's my heart work, this program too. I love
I love that. Same mission. I feel like one of the key things that are missing in the practitioner community is the community because
it.
a lot of them work solo and it's
Yes.
such an isolating space, especially for empaths and people that need support and sometimes reassurance, people who do things that are not always conventional or accepted by society, not even by their families
Mm,
often.
mm.
So it's a really lonely path.
Yes,
So that's what I
totally.
realized. And, we provide support also in different shapes and forms, from technology to, programs as well that we run for practitioners to provide that support. So I definitely, we're on the same mission, and I love
Mhm.
meeting other people in this space because it's just such an important work. Just like healing work is important, but healing the healer, I feel like is even more.
Yeah, so beautifully said. Yes, and really resonates with me as well. Yeah. And one of my students reflected back to me last week. Actually, I was away doing some teaching, and she said, this week's really helped me heal my sister wound of the
Mm,
competition that can happen between practitioners of similar modalities. And I thought, wow, like the healing's happening within the learning of the course. Like, how beautiful is that? Because when we
yes.
can come together in collaboration versus competition, that's the magic, because we all have, I believe, something so unique to offer. Even if it's labeled as the same thing, each practitioner is adding their own unique energy to it.
Absolutely. And I love how you're blending all those things together and modalities that are sometimes unexpected to fit together.
Thank
But
you.
I know a little bit from my own journey, like for example, even like breath work, it makes total sense that you combine that with alignment and posture because to me, one of the most effective things and trying to correct my own alignment was discovering breath work
Mm,
and some of the Kundalini breath, then later getting into Joe Dispenza work and his
amazing.
breath
Yeah.
that, he also comes from a similar background, being a
The
chiropractor,
Cairo.
which is so
Yeah.
interesting. And I feel like it's a topic that is not talked a lot about, at least not among like chiropractors, right? Um, breath work is something from like a different universe, usually. But I love meeting people like you who kind of get that connection because I feel like this is really the cutting edge of, you know, alternative medicine
Mm,
is combining those things together and really understanding the energy flow, but also learning to work with it, kind of bringing it all together, right? We're going from this like highly specialized medicine, right? Of like chiropractors, this and that. And
mm,
now like I think the integrative practitioners like yourself, you have this opportunity to like truly have this whole body
mm,
vision and bring all the different modalities together for the service of the body and the person. And it's something I know maybe like obvious to you, but I wanted to highlight that it's not obvious to most of the people.
mm,
And I feel like a lot of people who might be even listening to this podcast, even though our audience tend to be a little more advanced, but I just wanted to highlight that combination of even like bringing breath work into
mm,
body alignment and structural work is pretty new.
mhm,
It's not something that is widely spread yet.
mm, mm. Thank you for that, highlighting that. Yeah, I haven't seen it done this way anywhere else. And it gets me excited to think that there are people out there offering their gifts in their way. And I think there'll be more and more of this type of approach where we're really looking at the whole person and pulling from our toolkits, whether that's was rooted initially in the conventional way and then expanded out into the more integrative way to best support the person. Because ultimately to me that's my intention is
Hmm.
really that I offer this loving space for someone to reflect and do their own inner work and really feel empowered and grateful for the body they have and the path that they're on, which,
Hmm.
is same for the path that I that I walked to get here, right? It's that reflection back.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else you would like to share with listeners that might be listening and thinking, maybe we open their hearts to something new? Maybe we highlighted something that they've been dealing with, maybe ignoring, or maybe gave up on. Anything that we would like to share to encourage them to step on this healing journey because I feel like it's not always easy. This is definitely, it
Mm.
sounds like what you do. It requires some sort of commitment from a person.
Yeah, an openness, a
Yeah.
willingness, absolutely. Yes, I would say that there's a pain that when we think about pain, I wanna offer a reframe because when I was a very competitive Irish dancer growing up, got into distance running, so pain was very familiar, and anytime I had pain, I'd wanna book the appointment and get rid of the pain as fast as possible, get back to what I loved. But now there's been this reframe within my own world, and what I teach to others is that pain is there to alert you that there's a lesson that you haven't learned yet. And it's the way that the body communicates. Often it'll whisper and then it will get louder. And even if you've had that loud stimulus of pain for quite some time, if you believe that you can make change, you can. And there is something there for you. Pain is there to be your teacher, not your enemy. And that reframe really has helped me along my path and many others. There's something more there.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love this so much. This is
Mm.
kind of the essence of our podcast. Try to
Yeah.
reframe some of those things that been brought to us by conventional medicine, our own, sometimes media, our own blogs. Who knows? There's just so many sources that kind of made a lot of this information very obsolete, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Big pharma commercials that tell you to fight the pain at all costs.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I think, with one other thing to add around that, and just thinking about emotion, when I talk about emotion, that can be a scary topic for some.
Mhm.
Yet, when we think about emotion, it's often scarier, the thought of feeling it, than
Mm.
actually simply feeling it itself. And it takes about 90 seconds from the trigger of an emotion. So when it first comes up in our body and our awareness, if we actually sit with it and we let ourselves fully feel it, we can integrate it back into the nervous system, back into that regulated place in about 90 seconds. And most people out there can do something challenging for 90 seconds.
That's amazing. I love this. Well, it was such a pleasure. I know we're almost running out of time, but I really love this conversation and love the reframe and the work you do is really cool. And
Thank you.
hopefully we inspired some people today to take a look at their pain differently, to re-examine their alignment and their structure, and also give them hope that it's never too late to embark on this healing journey.
Yes, so beautiful. I trust that too. I hope that was the case today. I'm really grateful to have sat down with you, Yuli. Thank you for this space to share my work and to hear a little bit more about you and your journey. And I love hearing the alignment of our service.
Amazing. Well, thank you again for being here.